So this exercise will consist on putting the image of the terrain onto our terrain. So what I'll need, at least for this exercise, will be the final terrain surface and that 2D square limit that we had previously. So if, for example, I was working in a new Rhino file, and if I have the code from our last exercise, what you'll remember is that in the beginning of the code, we had that 2D square limit. So if we want, we can grab from the Grasshopper code and bake it into Rhino. So that's exactly what I'll do. I'll grab this from the Grasshopper code. I'll come here, right click, bake, and for example, I'll bake it into the default layer. So now I have my square limits back again. So these will be the two elements that I'll be needing for this exercise, the final terrain surface and this square. So now to put the image onto our terrain, we are going to apply the image to the layer where the terrain is inserted. So if you see here in the layers tab, you'll have a specific section which is the material. And if I select this layer and I select here this ball in the material section, it will allow me to change the material for that specific layer. It will open a window like this and we'll change the type of the material to picture. And we'll then choose one of the images that are also available in the website. They are already geo-referenced, but it won't apply them geo-reference like we want. And that's why we'll need that square limit. So I'm going to apply one of the images, the one that I prefer. I'm going to do OK. And if I come into the rendered view, you'll see that it's not applying the picture as I want. In this case, it's showing me like so, all brown, but it could also be stretching out the image or rotating the image. So now what we'll want to do is to apply the image in a specific manner. So if we have our terrain like so, we'll want to apply the image projected directly onto the terrain without bending the image or nothing. Just projecting it directly according to Z to the terrain. And so to do that, we'll do a command in Rhino, which is called apply planar mapping. Like so. Apply planar mapping. And the first thing that the command will ask us will be the target object. In this case, will be our terrain surface. So I'll click the terrain surface and hit enter. Then it will ask us for the corners through which we are going to project the image. So in this case, precisely we'll want this 2D square, but I'll define two corners of the square according to the directions that we want. You'll see that I'm directed like so. So X is in here and Y is in here. And if I put like so, I have the lowest point of my terrain in this spot. So the corners that I'll want to choose from my 2D limit will be the first one, this. So I'll click this point. If you can't select the point, be sure to have the OSNAP option and in here selected down here. So this will be the first point that I'll click, and this up here will be the second point that I'll click. So now it asks me UV or UVW. This is basically corresponding to the axis. So UV is basically corresponding to XY and UVW to XYZ. In this case, as we are projecting in XY, we are going to select UV. Then it will ask me for the mapping channel. In this case, we can just have 1. So if you have another value, just write 1 and hit enter. And if we go to our rendered view, you'll see that it has applied the image as we want. And this is it for this exercise.